We're a week away from the Winter Youth Olympics for 2024. It's a double Olympic year. Everybody, of course, is thinking about Paris a little bit later this year, but we know there's a Youth Olympics, and we're so excited to be covering our very first Winter Youth Olympics on Off the Podium this year, and very excited on the Australian side of things for a bit of history, because for the first time since 1960, Australia has an ice hockey team going to an Olympic Games. Now, we haven't not had representation in the sport, of course. We've had many athletes compete individually and as part of mixed teams at the Winter Youth Olympics since their inception in 2012. But at the upcoming Games in Korea, we will have a fully fledged Aussie team flying the Australian flag at an Olympic Games for the first time since Grenoble in 1960. And we are so excited today to be able to speak to the coach of that side, the girls 3x3 team that will be wearing that flag in Korea, Remi Harvey, joining us on the line to learn a little bit about her career as well as the sport and what we can expect from this team heading into Korea. First of all, Remi, welcome to Off the Podium. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
I'm so pumped for this because we are a co-Canadian-Australian show. So as you can imagine, on that side of the world, they talk about this sport a lot. It's kind of a big deal for them. But on this side, we are champions for the sport of ice hockey, whichever way you want to refer to it. I've been a massive fan of this sport my entire life. So any opportunity to talk about it, I'm so glad. And particularly now that we can say, as I said in that long-winded introduction, we've got a team, Remi. We're going to the Olympics. This is exciting. How are you feeling right now, knowing that you're leading this team to sort of bring back the Australian flag as a team at the Olympic Games?
Oh, I'm so excited, and it's like you said, everyone loves hockey, loves ice hockey if they get exposure to it and they see it. And so hockey's been in my family and been part of my life since I was about 5 years old. So it's, hockey is a huge history for me. And so the fact that I've, sort of graduated through the sport, played a lot, still playing here and there, but now coaching at a national level. And the fact that the AOC and Ice Hockey Australia trust me to take this team away is honestly an absolute honour. And I'm so excited for the girls to get the honour to wear the Aussie flag on their jersey.
Which we'll refer to it from this point on as hockey, obviously, for our Australian side. It's like that weird ice field kind of thing. It's kind of like when I interview a Canadian field hockey player, it's kind of that weird side of things. But if I'm not mistaken, your parents met at the rink. Is this true?
Yeah, my parents ice skated at Canterbury Ice Rink, which is currently closed, hopefully opening in a few years. But they my dad played, my mum skated, and they were just teenagers that hung out at the rink on a Friday night, and that's how they met.
Wow. And that's what people did back then, didn't it? I mean, I remember growing up in Tassie, and I'll say for our video, I'm proudly wearing the Van Diemen's Tasmanian ice hockey team shirt, which sadly we don't really have anywhere to play right now in Tasmania, but hopefully that will get fixed. But yeah, I remember a Friday night in our tiny little dinky rink that we had for most of my life. Friday night, you'd have sort of go along there and kind of have fun. And do you have memories of that sort of growing up, being exposed to the ice? And I guess, what was it about hockey that it drew you to rather than some of the other ice sports?
Yeah, I mean, when Macquarie Ice Rink was my local rink when I was a kid, and so that was sort of our Sunday afternoon activity when I was quite young. We'd go ice skating, and I knew my parents ice skated, but I didn't know that my dad played hockey. So did my mom, and they were huge hockey fans. And I was doing ice skating lessons. I loved it. I was into a lot of the arts and singing and dancing. So I think they thought I was going to be a figure skater, and I absolutely love figure skating, but it wasn't for me. And I saw a hockey game one day at the end of a session, and they were just getting on, and I just thought it was awesome. They got all this padding and got to, kind of hit each other around. And I was really drawn to it. I like skating fast, like being nice and agile. I sort of, when I was about 7 or 8 was when I started actually playing hockey, and wasn't until then where my dad joined in with me and started passing a puck around and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely, it's in the family, and it's really cool that we get to do it together.
I love hearing a different history from an Australian hockey fan than I watched the Mighty Ducks and I got into it because I'll be honest, that's me. I was of age and that's how I got into it. But it's interesting when you even speak to obviously Nathan Walker and he's kind of the same, right? Like I watched the Mighty Ducks and now he's our only ever NHL player. But it's I love that. I love that kind of history around that comes from that. And I mean, what do your parents say when you do say, I want to be a hockey player. I don't want to do figure skating. And particularly like your dad's obviously joining you in there, but are they happy? Are they a bit concerned? Because obviously this is a little bit more rougher and tumbler than it is on the figure skating side of things.
Oh, they loved it. Like, I think Dad thinks he hit the jackpot. Like, I'm an only child, and I think they love it. They would have supported me either way. They support me in whatever I do. But yeah, the fact that we get to do it together, we pass the puck around even still now. One of the first sort of kind of state rep teams I took away, my dad was my assistant coach because he's just one of my huge mentors. So it's, yeah, they love it. They're so happy that hockey's my sport.
Was it a lot of following the AIHL? Was it the NHL? A bit of both? I mean, kind of what was sort of the fandom, I guess? Because, I mean, sort of back then in the early 2000s, it's not like it is today where you can just sign up to NHL TV, AIHL TV and watch it. It was quite difficult watching any form of hockey back in those days.
Yeah, back then, kind of one of the main hockey rinks for Sydney was Blacktown Ice Arena, which is not with us anymore. But and so the Sydney Bears and the Sydney Ice Dogs both played out of there. And yeah, I idolized those guys. And a few of them actually coached me when I was learning how to play hockey at Macquarie. And so that was my main exposure. I got into the NHL when I was a little bit older, and we watch NHL here and there. A lot of sort of old DVDs and stuff like that to try and find stuff. But honestly, like the most exposure I got was I used to go to the rink basically every weekend, every Saturday and Sunday, and even sometimes during the week to watch some of the trainings and stuff. And yeah, the AI boys was probably the biggest thing that I took in. And then as I got older, we had so I might get the dates wrong, but around 2000 was when we had the first women's team, Australian women's team, where that program started. And so I remember being quite young, and I got introduced to a few of those girls who are now my teammates or ex-teammates. But so yeah, I really looked up to people that had played for the Aussie team, because we didn't have a women's national league. We had a tournament here and there, but I wasn't super exposed to that. So until I was a bit older. So yeah, it was very much local talent.
Before I touch on that, I got to ask the standard question: who's your AIHL team and who's your NHL team?
Well, I grew up playing for the Bears.
Okay.
So I think, I have to say the Sydney Bears.
Yep.
And the NHL team's kind of hilarious because I didn't have an NHL team. I just liked watching it for ages. And some of the boys in my team gave me a little bit of smack for not having an NHL team. So I still remember the day when my mum sat me down with all the NHL team logos on a computer screen. And I liked the Calgary logo the most. My favorite color is yellow. So I'm a Calgary Flames fan. I'm a diehard. I'm just going to stick by the boys until we keep going. So yeah, I'll keep supporting them.
I like you even more now, because I was going to say you hurt my feelings when I read a post of you being at the NHL recently that you adopted Collingwood. That hurt. But it's on that side of things. I mean, I cheat when I go for two NHL teams. I'm a Ducks and a Flames fan. But, I mean, if you absolutely force my hand, I would be a Flames fan. I always struggle when we've got a guest on this show when I've got multiple clothing that I could wear. I was going to wear a Flames jersey, but then I thought, could kind of go a different direction.
Let me know. I could have got my Flames hat.
Damn. Well, let's start again, basically. But that makes me happy, Remi. I'm glad. So that's moving on with the positives on this interview. Just on that national representation, though, the Mighty Jills. I love any Australian nickname of any of our sporting teams. I know the Mighty Roos for the men, Mighty Jills for the women. What was that pathway then for women to make the national team before a national league? Was it a case of just local competitions, representation? Did they get drawn from playing overseas? How did that work back then before there was the AWIHL?
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, because by the time I was trying to make the team, there was at least a national tournament and the AW was starting to be born. But I remember training before one of their training camps. And so I'm assuming they definitely had camps where they'd bring everyone together. And we had a women's national tournament every year. So that was kind of where all the big talent came. And yeah, there was obviously girls overseas as well here and there. But I think it was generated a lot locally. And I think that was one of the huge successes was Kathy Berg, one of the coaches that did that. It was really had to generate from almost nothing, which is really awesome.
And we've seen, obviously, the rapid progression of the women's side of things around the world. We're obviously seeing now finally a professional league in North America and everything along those lines. And I can imagine sort of on the coaching side of things, this may be jumping a little bit ahead, but are you seeing that participation among young girls now increasing because of that more exposure back, particularly, say, when you were growing up? I mean, I guess, what is the current state when it comes to getting girls, and not just girls, but anybody in Australia, really, juniors into the sport, because it is obviously a very fringe sport in the entire country?
Yeah. What I want to say about that first is the coolest thing for me as a coach is when I'm huge on goal setting and mindset and talking through what girls want to do. And when I speak to young girls now, making a U18s team and making the Australian senior team is now on their goals because they've been exposed to it. They know it's possible. They see their friends and older kids going to selection camps and training camps. They see the exposure of everyone being involved. And so that is one of the biggest changes that I've seen over the past 5-10 years, is that it's actually something that people want to do because they've seen it. So think that in general is increasing player retention because it's fun. Everyone, like when girls go away or boys, anyone goes away to a training camp and there's 20 to 40 people in the same room. You become a massive family. You've got friends from all over Australia now. You know, that just wrap that for me, the U18s program has is just so awesome. And it wasn't only me that started. There's a bunch of people that were involved to do it. And just the fact that the girls want to be involved has really helped. And now I think also exposure. I mean, having female coaches didn't used to be very common either. So now there's not just myself, there's many strong female coaches in Australia at the moment. So people see us on the ice. People see the Sydney Sirens or the Perth Inferno or people playing and advertising their games and getting people to come. And that's really helping, I think, girls wanting to be involved. And yeah, hockey's an addictive sport. So once they get on the ice, I think, the story writes itself really. But so just, yeah, the exposure, I hope it keeps going as well. And I hope from us going to Korea and all these things, I hope it keeps growing.
Had you harbored an ambition for coaching sort of through your playing career?
Yeah, I always loved helping people. The Bears, when I played the local club, had a mentoring program as part of when you're a young player. And so when I was about kind of 14, I was allowed, or even younger maybe, I was allowed to come out and just help the younger players. And not coaching exactly, but just be there. And again, exposure, seeing that someone is already playing. And so that sort of grew. And then every year I just wanted to get more and more involved. And so I did a lot of development league coaching and very grassroots coaching when I was still under 18, just to help out as much as I could. And I think I really liked helping people. So then when it became possible for me to take teams and do different things and become more involved, as the U18s hockey program was sort of for females was getting really established and started, I was kind of aging out of the program. I was kind of 19, 20. So then I became more of a coach in training and a mentor, and then sort of graduated into that coaching role. So yeah, it kind of was always something that I wanted to do. It's really rewarding. I really enjoy being able to help people with their goals, and sort of if there's any self-doubt in there, to help prove to people that they can do something.
Is it a case of, I mean, you still play, if I'm not mistaken, so it's kind of
Yeah.
balancing the play and the coaching side of things, but is it a case of, not to age you because you're still very young, Remi, but like in terms of just the older you get, that mindset kind of does switch more to the coaching side of things and you sort of play yourself out of playing, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think I'll do both as long as I can, but especially like this year I've really taken a step back. I unfortunately had an injury this year, so it sort of forced me to step back. But then I've kind of stayed back because I've had a lot of exciting coaching opportunities. So yeah, I think I'll always play, whether or not it's, at a high level or not. I'm really fortunate to be on representative teams as coach and player. Like that's really, really weird. But I love it. And but I don't know what the future holds directly, but I hope I can still keep playing. And yeah, the more I coach, the more I love it. So that's not going anywhere.
Well, speaking of not going anywhere, I mean, you're going to Korea. That's one place you are going somewhere. That's an interesting segue, Ben. But I mean, how does this opportunity come out? Obviously, you're coaching the under-18 girls, but when it came to the AOC tapping you on the shoulder and just being like, hey, Remi, January, want to go to Korea? I mean, how did that opportunity come about?
Um, yeah, still kind of pinching myself, not gonna lie. I've been involved, like I said, I've been involved for a really long time in all the different development camps for U18 girls. And so there was a camp that they held that was sort of aimed at identifying potential girls to go away or just what is our talent pool for the Youth Olympics basically. And we had the age groups that was set, and so that sort of got organized, and then I got invited to come along and help. And that was just helping. Like I didn't really know, didn't realize that what that might turn into. And then I had a really good time doing that. And really enjoyed working with everyone. And then a couple of weeks later, or a month or so later, I got got a call saying, hey, what do you think about this? Which is like I said, still pinching myself. It's an honor, and I know there's so many people that the AOC and Ice Hockey Australia could have put in this position. So I really hope I do it justice. And
Did you, I mean, were you aware, I guess, of kind of the history in a way? Because as I sort of said in the intro, in terms of an actual representation of Australia as a country in the sport of ice hockey, this is our first time since 1960 at the Olympics, when obviously our men went and we didn't do fantastically, but we still competed in the Olympic Games. But I mean, were you aware of that history, that what this was creating by sending this team to Korea?
Oh, definitely. I think everyone in the Aussie hockey community knows that there was a time when, even if we don't know the year, we know that, we did go to the Olympics and it did happen. Even though it was before most of us were born, but it's something that, definitely not lost on me. And I think just the opportunity and the fact that we qualified, regardless of who's going and who's involved, is just something that the entire sport can be proud of.
Tell us a bit about 3x3 hockey, because it's obviously making its debut at the Youth Olympics. They're removing the skill challenge, which, I mean, Australia, as sort of I touched on, we have won medals at Olympics in the sport of ice hockey in the skills challenge. But is this like a 3x3 basketball? It's just less players, faster game. Like, I mean, can you give us a bit of an overview of this version of the sport?
Yeah, my understanding, when I watched the 3-on-3 basketball, it's, the concepts are very similar and how they've taken the game and changed it. And the outcomes, I think, are quite similar. So 3-on-3, 3 teams aside, the plus a goalie in each end. It's played on third ice, so blue line down. They'll be modifying the playing area to put barriers across the blue line, so that can you
have like multiple games going on at once?
So the rink will permanently be set up with end zone hockey, basically. Right. And that was one of the things that we were talking about with the girls when we were preparing, is that we could be playing, I don't know, Turkey, and Korea could be playing someone down the other end. So the
Wow.
crowd could be cheering, not even about your game,
Yeah.
which, distraction management, really important. So yeah, they're basically they're modifying it like that so that there's more puck touches, so that it's nice and fast. The biggest thing that stands out to me from my hockey experience is they've really limited the number of face-offs and puck drops. The whistle, if a goalie saves it, the attacking team has to retreat quite quickly. And
Oh.
then the goalie, really excited for all goalies out there. The goalie gets to initiate the breakout pass and has
Oh,
to.
wow.
And so we've actually been doing a lot of work with our two goalies. That they're already quite good at handling the puck, but just that responsibility of you have to be able to nail a good pass. So it's really interesting because it just creates different pressure, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the biggest thing that stood out for me. There's a lot more things.
Are the periods
penalties,
shorter? Is it still like 3 periods, or are they like
yeah,
a lot shorter? Or
yeah, still 3 periods. Yeah, the penalties, if you have so the shifts are kind of like timed, so it's 45-second shifts, and you
wow,
have to like skate off. There's no face off. It's just like you have to sprint off, and as soon as
crazy.
yeah, it's really it's interesting. If you get a penalty, nothing happens in that shift, but in the next shift, it's 3-on-2.
Wow. Okay. So it's 3 on ice and still a goalie. So there's technically 4, or is it
Yeah.
2? Okay, got that. I mean, this is where like I'm sad that the Tasmanian rink shut down, because our rink was small. I would say blue line size anyway, and we played 3-on-3 hockey with the goalie. So I'm just saying right now, was Tasmania's time to shine. We could have, if our rink still existed. Is this a format that is played often, or is this a format that you've never actually seen played, and this will be the first time you see it at the Youth Olympics?
So it was played in the 2020 Youth Olympics. And that was when we had 4 Australian girls go to that in the mixed teams.
Right.
And
Okay.
a whole bunch of different teams. So really lucky in that sense, because I've been talking to a lot of those girls to ask their experience, and been getting there wasn't a whole lot of footage from their only highlight videos. So I was actually really lucky that one of the girls, their parents went and were in the stands and took a lot of video.
Great.
So I've got a whole bunch of footage from that, and sort of the thing about that tournament, my understanding is, it was mixed teams, so the girls were all put together when they got there, and the coaches were, organizing things when they could, but they basically met each other 2 days before the tournament. So now they're using that exact same format. They've tweaked the rules here and there, but now that exact same format, full teams are going away, so we have a chance to prepare. And I've never really dissected a 3-on-3 game. Like we do it all the time in training. It's a very popular training exercise. More hits, more touches, more shots, more goals. It's super popular. We played a lot in Australia for a lot of sort of in-house and summer comp. So does all over the world. But I've never actually analyzed it and really tried to think about the plays and the different characteristics and the things that we need to bring. So yeah, that's been interesting.
Which I can imagine as a coach challenging, but it sounds like it's more of a open playing field, that, it's not just going to be an Australian issue. This sounds like it's going to be a world issue, that, a team from Turkey, Korea, all the other countries that will be there, that this makes it a little bit more open, that you're not just going to go into this and go, well, the final's going to be between the USA and Canada, like as we often see in women's hockey, right? Like just put your house on it. So to me, that must make it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, lots of people have asked me how I think we'll go. And because of the nature of the game, my honest answer is I'll tell you after I see everyone, because I know where we sit, and I can tell you on the world circuit and 5-on-5, but it's you're right. The game's different, and I've been seeing here and there all the different countries have been holding training camps, just like how we've been doing, and they're trying to develop their 3-on-3 game, which is really cool. I love being able to analyze a game that I've played for a very, very long time. I love being able to analyze that in a new way and trying to figure out new things.
So with the squad of 13 that go with you, are these players that are already representing Australia on the under-18 circuit? Are some of these new? I mean, can you tell us a little bit about some of the squad that will represent Australia at the Games?
Yeah, of course. So the cool thing about the Youth Olympics is the hockey, so IIHF basically have the federation for ice hockey. They have said specific age groups. So they only want 2008, 2009 born girls. So that's 14 and 15-year-olds, meaning that, for you to represent Australia at age 14 and 15 is, we do have girls that do it, but, our under 18 team normally has more 15, 16, 17-year-old girls. So, there are, I think, 4 girls who have represented Australia before, but they went to one tournament. And so they're coming up for their second year this year. So it's really cool to see a lot of girls who are up and coming, and they're in the U18s program and they're working really hard. They're basically getting their first international tournament at the moment.
At an Olympics, if you don't mind.
Why not?
Yeah. I mean, just put it on the resume. I mean, have you worked with many of them before?
Yeah, most of them I had just few through sort of either coaching in New South Wales or state tournaments or selection camps here and there. The hockey community in Australia is fairly small, but there were a few that I hadn't met yet. So yeah, I mean, you've got Hannah Cryan, Tara Baker, Sophie Reeder, and Georgia Watts. Well, the 3 of them have played for Australia before, and then and Johanna Meisner, Johanna. They've already played. They've played for Australia at the beginning of this year, and they'll be returning again next year. And then we've got Georgia Watts and Olivia Gargano, who are playing their first years as Team Australia U18 players and also Youth Olympics.
Wow.
And then the rest of the team are representing Australia for the first time, but that doesn't undercut them at all. They're all excellent. They're young. So, there's only so much you can have when you're 13, 14.
And it's just, I can't imagine what that will be like as an experience of representing Australia but doing it in the Olympics. Because, I mean, in all realistic nature of things that, I mean, the state of where we are, obviously, in the world stage of hockey, I mean, this realistically is probably maybe the only chance they're going to get in Olympics. So it's it's a big shot for them and a big sort of moment for them to kind of go out there and experience this, which, I mean, even for you, Remi, as a coach, of course, too, to be able to sort of experience everything about that. Because this is the thing I love about the Youth Olympics is they're a little bit more chilled, a bit more relaxed than obviously we get at, say, the standard Olympics. So I think it's just going to be such an eye-opening experience for so many people, and to wear the green and gold, as we keep saying, with the Olympic rings and everything. I mean, what a January.
What a time.
What a time. And I mean, because you're telling me off air that, I mean, obviously we're recording this a little bit just before the end of 2023, but you've got to go to Spain first. This isn't just a case of like, I'm just going straight to Korea, I've got a month to prepare, but you're going to Spain, you've got a tournament that you've got to be involved in there as well. I mean, how does that, with you as a coach, do you like that momentum? Do you like the fact that you've kind of got a tournament to get the coaching brain going a little bit ahead of the Olympics?
I mean, yes. However, they're 2 different tournaments because one's 5-on-5 and one's 3-on-3. So it's quite funny. But I'm really glad that because like for the World Championships in Spain, like we last tournament we actually won Division 2A. So we're getting promoted up to Division 1B. So we are playing against some of the some of the strongest teams that we.
Who have we got? Who do we need to look out for?
In the World Championships in Spain. Game 1's against Norway.
Oh,
Then Spain, Poland, South Korea, and Chinese Taipei.
Except for Norway, we've got them all, right? Come on, easy. I don't know about the Polish hockey community, but I think we're on par with him, aren't we? No, I don't know.
Poland's quite good.
Okay, well, put them aside. Korea, get a bit of a taste ahead of the Olympics. That's probably a good practice, right?
Well, that's the thing that the girls that are going, like, I'm not sure how, how Korea's doing their youth Olympic team, but it's a very big possibility that we'll be playing against some of those girls that are going to youth Olympics. And also just being able to see the style of play. Every country has a very solid style of play, so being able to sort of learn from that, and obviously we'll we're in a high division. We're going to have a lot of pressure on the ice. So those girls that are playing both will sort of be, in that mindset. They'll always be keeping their head moving. They'll be ready, And then the girls that are joining us, it's the opposite, but in a good way. They're coming in fresh. They've only focused on the Youth Olympics. We've been sending out videos and different things for them to sort of prepare for, and they're all working so hard off the ice. So I think it's nice that we sort of get to meet after that, the whole team in Korea, and go for something completely different,
I don't want you to give away any of your secrets, Remi, but what's Australia's style? What are we known for out there on the ice?
We never stop. We're gritty. We skate hard. We battle hard. I actually have one of the other team's coaches. Her voice is always in my head because she used to say, "I hate playing against you guys." And they used to beat us, but she was like, "I hate it because you guys don't stop, and we might stop our feet moving for 1 second, and you've turned the puck over and you go and score." She's like, I absolutely hate playing against you guys. And now she's a coach as well, and she's like, "I hate coaching because I know as soon as my girls have one lapse, you guys are going to capitalize." So I think, and that's just true Aussie grit, right? That's in anything. We're really gritty. We just keep going. And yeah, I love our battles in hockey because we know how to use the body. We do it cleanly and legally, but we really get in there. So which is everywhere, in front of the net, in the offensive zone, all the time. That's Aussie hockey.
That's what I want, which leads me into a very important question. I touched on the fact that our national women's team are called the Mighty Jills. What's our national 3x3 team called?
Firstly, they've actually just done a bit of a rebrand, so they're the Flyers.
The Flyers. Okay.
Flyers.
Just the Flyers. We've dropped the Mighty, so we're just the Flyers, are we?
Yeah, we're the Aussie Flyers.
Oh, I like it.
And so the U18s team is called the Junior Flyers.
Nice.
And basically the Flyers is a female kangaroo.
True. Yeah. So have they kept the Mighty Roos for the men, or have they gone a different direction for them as well?
Okay.
I like that though, the Flyers, and it's obviously hockey related. So
the Flyers, and we've done a few workshopping of what the Youth Olympic team is called, and we haven't settled on one yet.
Can you give us a teaser of what some of them are?
I mean, everyone, anywhere from what was some that came up? Everyone's trying to think of the deadly Aussie animals, blue ring octopus or kind of. And so we got to find something that's that scary Aussie animal, but also easy to say and makes sense.
It's the problem there. I think so many of them are taken, right? Sort of because we're such a country that I think it's literally only our men's and women's cricket teams are the only teams that do not have some form of nickname. Although I'm trying to get our Moguls team to call themselves the Bumperoos, and I don't know if they've actually adopted that. We have a mascot on the show. I mean, he's kind of behind me. He's really bad positioning. He's a chair, and he got a bit battered. So, I mean, if you want to call yourselves the Cherries, put it on the list. But, I mean, it's not really a vicious animal. So take it to the team. But, I mean, we always kind of need that moniker, don't we, of some sort of name that the Aussies can get behind and everything along those lines. I mean, I will touch on the fact that, you're obviously saying before that they were mixed teams back in Lucerne, and we had a couple of Aussies win medals there. And, throughout the history of the Youth Olympics, we've had 4 medalists when it comes to this sport. Because, I mean, I'm sad that the skills challenge isn't there anymore, because that was so uniquely Youth Olympics, and it's fun because I think the skill side of hockey needs to be showcased like this, and it's fun to see what they can do. Are you sad that we're not seeing this skill challenge anymore?
Yes and no. I think it's always great to see skills challenges and see how people line up against each other, especially different countries, because the development is very different everywhere you go. However, it's one of those things that you can be an excellent hockey player and not be able to hit the top targets in every single skill. Not saying you shouldn't, but it's, I think sometimes the skills competition, like if the skills competition isn't there anymore, it means that we can focus on that team play and develop skills in that team setting. That's a very coachy answer, but I'm sort of happy that we can keep it a team sport rather than have it individual based.
Do you have any little coaching quirks that you like in terms of bonding sessions? Let's all do this. I mean, again, the mindset, I'm sorry that it's going back to the Mighty Ducks, but I'm Australian and I grew up on it, so why not? So I'm thinking, are there skill sets where you're using eggs as pucks? Are you tying your goalie to the net? Are you going for long rides through Californian wilderness going, I don't know what I've been told? I mean, I'm putting it out there. What's the Remi Harvey special when it comes to team bonding as a coach?
Nothing like that. So sorry. But one thing popped into my mind, which you'll laugh, and I hope the girls don't mind this, but we did a session on our spirit animals and our hockey spirit animals. And so now I have an entire zoo of hockey spirit animals, and it was a team bonding session, and they all kind of came back to me and said, yeah, I'm this animal and this is why, and this is how I show it on the ice. And it's actually really become part of the team's preparation. It was sort of it was a team bonding activity. What's your identity as a player and how does that show in an animal, But then it sort of just kept going. And now, and that's sort of been my main thing as a coach at the moment for the Youth Olympics team, is because they've really stuck to it and they love it. They love their spirit animals. So
I've got to touch on two things of that. One, I want to hear some, and you don't need to put the players out there if you don't want to. And two, then do you refer to them as those animals?
I mean, I don't say, hey, tiger over here, but I actually it's been really good because you can have an analogy there. You can say, oh yeah, you really need to make sure you're crossing over, speed really fast on the outside. You're a cheetah, remember? So just like how cheetahs go, and it was really cool because of how it it's obvious in the end. When someone tells me their spirit animal, I'm like, yeah, of course you are. So it really helps me coach, because it just gives me another thing that I can that I can use to be able to motivate them. So I really like that, and it's been really cool. So some examples.
Yeah.
I've got a cheetah, I said, because she's fast. I've got a magpie because she watches and she's more defensive minded, so she protects her nest, and she's will fly around and be not threatening, but if needed, she'll dive and swoop somewhere.
You actually a magpie that you can like if you're not an AFL fan. So yes, I get that.
Hockey magpie.
Hockey magpie. Yep.
And then one of my goalies is a shark because she's a hunter. Yep.
I like
See how
it.
all these make sense?
It does. Did you give yourself one? What's your spirit animal?
My hockey spirit animal has always been a meerkat because I watch, I wait, I look. And I'm very alert, and I think that's also what I'm like as a coach. I'm a meerkat.
Hakuna Matata along with that as well,
Sorry?
Yeah, Hakuna Matata. Do you just kind of go along? Do you have a Pumbaa out there as well? Pairing?
I don't have a Pumbaa, sadly, but maybe one day. But yeah, so we actually it became this one throwaway team activity sort of became more, and now all the team staff that are going away with me, they have a spirit animal too. Our manager is a kookaburra, it's the whole thing.
When you guarantee you come back with the goal from Korea, every single team is going to be adopting this moving forward. That's the secret, right?
I mean, I can't say it's original. I got this off one of my mentors. She always used to talk about spirit
don't
animals.
tell us that. We think it's original. I didn't hear you say that. No, that's completely a Remi Harvey idea.
It works, and it's very I got all these different animals, and it's funny. We had a few girls that said, "Well, I don't know my identity. I don't know," and so we actually got to talk through them and say, "Okay, what do you I see you as this, this, and this. Do you agree? Okay, let's help so and so
Fantastic.
find her animal.
Fantastic. I know when I lived in Canada, I worked for a junior boys team, and I know sort of before games they would hype themselves up in the room. They had their songs, and they'd often a player each week or a line. The defense, the offense, the goalies. They'd get control of the ox, of course, as they called it. Do you have a bit of a bonding session around the music? Like, do you get the girls to kind of choose, or do you have a team song maybe that you're on the bus and that's kind of just your anthem on the way? I mean, we saw the Matildas had it with Strawberry Kisses recently with Nikki Webster. So I don't know. Do you have a song?
We have a team, a few team speakers, and we've got some music people that really enjoy getting the vibes. So I don't want to call it too soon, but just from training camps and looking, Taylor Swift is looking pretty looking pretty strong. Everyone loves a good belt, but then at the same time, Frozen makes its way in there a lot, and Disney and girls are
Okay.
great. We have very different sides.
It's
I'm sure we'll have a
interesting.
team song.
Yep.
Sure we'll have
Okay.
one, but not sure yet.
Not sure yet. So we need to know that name. We need to know the song. We're just kind of putting it out there with everything along those lines. I mean, remember, before I let you go, I mean, just obviously with everything that we've touched on, and obviously you said people asking how you're going to go, and you said you'll let us know when you go there. But I mean, how can you sum this up of what this will mean just to the hockey community in Australia? Just to be able to have, as you said, it's a very close-knit community, to have everybody, no doubt, glued to their screens in the coming weeks just to see how the team's going to go, and that we do have a side now representing this country, as we've said throughout this interview, on the very highest stage of the sport.
I think, I mean, Aussies always band together, regardless. We love coming. Like, look what happened to the Matildas, right? We love coming behind a team, and so I really hope that it bands everyone together for this, where Aussies are almost always the underdogs in ice hockey, and it's great. We can play our game and play really hard, and I really hope that the games gives hockey the exposure that it deserves in Australia, and just really gets everyone behind these girls, because they've worked so hard. I've seen a bit of how much they're doing away from their work with me. They're all so dedicated. So yeah, regardless of what actually happens, I really hope everyone gets behind them and behind the sport even more, because we've got talent, we have drive, we have the grit. We just need more exposure and more of it. So
Well, I was gonna add on that. I mean, obviously, if you could sit back and look at this experience in 50 years' time, do you think it is going to be a case of setting something that maybe we can one day see our senior girls side, our senior men's side make an Olympics? It's obviously a very difficult path in the sport of hockey to make an Olympic Games, but given on what this is going to expose, we've seen with the NHL coming to Australia, we've seen with Nathan Walker making the NHL, these little baby steps that have gone far from I watched the Mighty Ducks as a kid, to legitimately putting Australia on the map in this sport. Like, would you like to see that growth, that maybe we can achieve that one day?
I definitely think we can achieve that one day. I think, everyone says we need more money, but funding is something, and we need sponsors, and we need people that want to get behind the sport, so that it helps develop the sport, so that attending Olympic qualifiers isn't a huge cost to all players. Attending different things, or just, the cost for becoming a good hockey player yourself, like, there's so many little hurdles in the way, and unfortunately a lot of it comes down to cost. And I hope that the exposure to this helps that. And also just inspires a whole lot of people to, and a whole lot of girls and boys that to give them the drive. I know it's a lot easier to get different training opportunities either overseas or in Australia now. I hope it just motivates everyone, because I think we can do it. Like, one day it's going to be hard, but the Aussie hockey style is different. It's a thing, and we just have to keep going.
We definitely need to keep doing it. It's been very inspiring. I'm so looking forward, Remi, to be able to see that green and gold jersey out in the ice underneath Olympic rings. I mean, I may be old, but I was not alive in 1960, so I did not see that happen in my life. So to finally be able to see that happen and experience that, Remi, best of luck with it moving forward. We'll be watching everything, of course, along the way, and go bring those cherries a gold medal back home to Australia.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Goosebumps. Got goosebumps.